Suzanne's Paparazzi Jewelry, 24/7 shopping available. 160920 is the code. Show her some love, like she showed us.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Coast to Coast Entertainment Network. I am Ace, and tonight you're actually watching, well, it's normally Biggie, Skinny, and Messaround, but tonight it's just Skinny and Messaround. That's right, we're going to bring you a lot of topics tonight. So, Messaround, how are you doing tonight?
I am great. It's been a good day. Waiting to kick us off. My favorite time of year. Training camps open up. Football season's right around the corner.
I'll tell you what, we have a lot to talk about tonight, especially with football being right around the corner. We know that we have a lot of exciting stuff coming, especially with that. With the NFL, I think we always wait for the NFL. Like I've always said, like, opening week of the NFL should be like a national holiday.
For sure.
Like, it should definitely be a national holiday. But before we go into that, let's touch a little bit on the MLB side, and
Right.
let's go ahead and jump into Juan Soto. There's been a lot of speculation. We know that the trade deadline is kind of coming up. It's right around the corner.
Tuesday.
It's right there. Like, it's legitimately right there. So when we think about it, Messaround, now there's 3 teams that have kind of popped up that they've been talking about recently. I can tell you one of them. I can tell you he's not going to at all, because one of the names that popped up was the Cubs, and I'm like, why the heck would he go to the Cubs? The Cubs are sellers at the deadline. They're not going to be trying to give up all these pieces to go out and get Juan Soto. That would make zero sense. They're not going to do that. So a big name right now, the front runner for Juan Soto is actually the Padres. And I was okay with that, because as long as it's not the dang Dodgers or the Yankees, which we know the Yankees already got Benintendi, and that was to kind of help their outfield also. And I was hoping that Atlanta would get Benintendi, but they did not. But anyways, let's go to Juan Soto. Messaround, where do you think Juan Soto is going to end up going?
I think he's going to go to San Diego, to the Padres. I mean, they've already had talks. They're ongoing. And from what I heard, they're trying to work out the pieces of what's going to go there and, what's going back to the Nationals. So I think he's going to end up a Padre. Honestly, I wish my White Sox had more pieces in their farm system, but our farm system's trash. We don't have anything, so we're definitely not getting Soto.
Now, imagine this, though. Imagine Soto goes to the Padres, right? Imagine, and then Tatis Jr. comes back. Tatis Jr., Soto, Machado, Hosmer. I mean, Will Myers. I mean, they would have absolutely, like, they would be loaded on offense. And the Padres at that point, I think, could actually make a decent run.
Yeah, you put Soto on that Padre team, they're going to be stacked for sure, and they got a nice pitching staff too. So, and I know our man Callan from the ISN Network would be elated to get Soto. So, I'm hoping he goes there, as long as, like you said, it's not the 2 main teams that always try and buy championships, the Dodgers and the Yankees. I'd be happy if he goes anywhere but there.
Yeah, which if anything, though, like, this is the thing I've never understood. Like, they come out and they say the Yankees and the Dodgers are, like, they have some of the best farm systems in baseball. And I'm like, how? I don't understand. Like, they go out and they get all these big time names that they trade for at the deadline and crap. How in the heck do they continuously have all this deep farm system? I want to know that.
I don't get it either, because, like, every year they're making a deal and they're trading their top guys in their farm system too. And it's not like they're drafting in the top 10 every year.
No, they're not. They are not. But the best thing about it is when they go in and they sign all these names and then they lose in the postseason. That's what makes it even better.
Or when they don't even make the postseason, so.
Yeah, that makes it better too. But we know that the Yankees and Dodgers are both going to make the postseason.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So, so going away from, well, I will, before we go into our next one, I'm going to agree with you. I'm going to say that I believe Juan Soto ends up actually on the Padres. So, to me, though, this is where I kind of am like, okay, which way would you want it as a fan? Let's say you have a deep farm system, okay? And as a fan, you're watching your team and you're like, well, my team could potentially make a splash before the deadline. They could go for a guy like Juan Soto. They could trade for him, knowing that, okay, maybe your team doesn't have the money to sign him to a long-term deal, but you could get him as like a rental to potentially help your team, which could then lead you to a championship. But then you know that potentially the next year you may not have him. And then what happens is you just lost all those guys in your farm system. So my question is, as a GM, if you were a GM at this point, would you be okay with sacrificing basically a bunch of your future for technically one guy that you might get a championship with, and then you can't re-sign him?
Well, I was just thinking about a team out of left field that I would like to see get him is the Mariners. They could really use a Juan Soto. And I think they might have a farm system to go out and get him, but to sign him long term, I don't think Seattle's ever given a player out of that type of contract before. And I know when Griffey was there, they traded him away before he got that big contract. So,
yeah, and like that's my biggest thing about it is I'm thinking, okay, so you get him, it's basically a rental. You sign him to like a new deal. Wherever he goes, he's going to probably want like $500 million. So he's going to want $500 million. You're going to have to give him a crap ton of money. And
you back up that Brinks truck.
There's a lot of teams out there that's not going to be able to afford paying him that type of money. There's just no way.
There's not. The only two teams that probably could like Dodgers and the Yankees because they just print out money. I don't know how they do it with cap the way there is no cap in baseball, is there?
There is, but you can go over.
You have to pay the luxury tax, right?
But you have those two teams who don't care. They can do it because they can afford to do it.
Right.
And so that's like the biggest problem. You have these two teams that can really, really do it, and so it kind of messes with baseball. It really does.
It does. I think they just have a set cap for everybody.
So, before we jump into the NFL side, since the trading deadline is right around the corner, I was just going to kind of ask you about your White Sox to see if you thought your White Sox were going to make a move at the deadline.
Well, right now we're talking to the Cubs about Michael Gibbons, a reliever, trying to get him, and then we're in talks we're rumored to get to be reunited with Jose Quintana from the Pirates, and the Yankees are also rumored to be in on him too. So it'd be nice if we get one of the two. We really need some relief pitching, because coming into the season, our bullpen was supposed to be the strength of the pitching staff, and it's really let the team down. It's really struggled, and it hasn't been what it's supposed to be. So I would say if we're making any deal, we go out and we get some bullpen help.
You know what? I'm right there with you, because I can tell you, Atlanta over the course of the last couple weeks, somehow we've managed to continue to keep winning, but we're starting to get hit hard as far as injuries now. We're starting to get hit very, very hard. Albies is still out. It's Adam Duvall now is out for the season. He's having surgery on his wrist. So right now we're having to try and fill in that gap there. We don't have a very deep bench because of the fact that Albies is hurt, and then we had to bring in Arcia to come off the bench, and then Duvall's hurt, so now we have to take another piece off of our bench and insert them in. So I really think that Atlanta Braves is going to go for probably a bench player, if potentially not a starting outfielder. They could, and I think that Hap from the Cubs might be a good gap filler right there that you can definitely bring in. He's having one of the best seasons of his career, so he could definitely be that guy. Um, and then I think that we bring in some bullpen help, and I would not mind us actually going after one more arm and Luis Castillo, the starter from the Reds. I know I say Reds and people like probably freak out, but
Dude,
have you seen Luis Castillo, dude? That guy on the Reds he's been good. He's been really good. He's been their best starter. He's got like a 2.89 ERA or something. So he's not bad. And I think with the way that Ian Anderson is struggling, you got to do something, because Ian Anderson, I know people talk about the postseason last year and they say, hey, Ian Anderson pitched great in the playoffs. He did. Okay, I'm not taking that away from him last year. He pitched really good. But this year, dude, he's struggling. He's struggling bad. He can't find his form. He's getting plastered in every game. He just allowed 5 more runs in the first inning against the freaking hapless Angels. So it's 7 runs overall. So again, he's got to figure out something. And it's been like this all season long. So
yeah, our problem is we just can't stay healthy. We get a guy back, we lose too. We get, it's been like it all year. So
unfortunately, injuries happen. And
yeah,
it's the crappy part about it. But we can definitely jump into a little bit of NFL talk, because we know it's right around the corner, dude. And I don't know about you, but I've been waiting for this so bad.
oh yeah, I've been hitting the Bears site on Bleacher Report, checking out their training camp, and day 2 of camp today. Fields made a couple nice passes to Mooney and Cole Kmet. He also threw a pick, but it wasn't his fault. It was off the hands of newly acquired N'Keal Henry. Tipped. And I guess they're struggling a little bit on offense, which is expected when you're installing a new offense. I did want to ask you about Aaron Rodgers' comeback to Devontae Adams, though. Did you hear about that?
Yeah, I did. It was pretty stellar. Well, when Devontae comes out and says he goes from one Hall of Famer to another one, when I read that, look, I get it. Okay, I get that Devontae Adams has been friends with Derek Carr forever. So obviously he's going to stick up for him. Obviously,
Right.
He's not going to come in and rag on Derek Carr or whatever. He's not going to. They've been friends for a very, very long time. But my thought when I read this is, I'm sitting here going, what even makes him think that Derek Carr right now would even qualify for freaking Hall of Fame?
Right. Right. I just thought it was funny that Rodgers like, yeah, I'm going from one Hall of Fame receiver to another in Lazard.
Right. Yeah. It was kind of funny. It was really but now, would this shock you? This probably won't. Because everybody knows, Green Bay this year signed Sammy Watkins during free agency. Sammy came out and said he was in the best shape of his life. He's been working out really, really hard. He put on a few pounds of muscle, and everybody was feeling good about it. And then the very next day, it came up that said Sammy Watkins has been placed on the non-football injury list, and I'm like, of course he has.
That's always been his problem, is he can't stay healthy.
No, he can't.
Whenever he's been on the field, though, he's produced. He just can't stay healthy.
Sammy Watkins has the potential to be a number 1 receiver.
Oh, for sure. Just like I said, you can't make a club when you're in the tub.
Yeah, you can't. And that's the biggest thing. So far, we've heard them saying he'll be back sooner rather than later. He's not expected to miss any time. That's the biggest thing. But it comes down to it again, to where it's like we were talking about. The whole speculation. Is he going to stay healthy? And then it comes right in off the bat that says non-injury football list. And I'm like, of course he is. Of course he is. Why wouldn't it fail? And right before that, Christian Watson was put on the PUP. So I was like, wow. So, but the interesting thing is they haven't came out and said why Christian Watson is on the PUP, but he's on there. But
And they
said,
don't have to because it's training
yeah,
camp. So
yeah. But they also said he'll be back though. The only problem is that when a rookie is placed on the PUP, you can't get that chemistry down with your starting quarterback. That's the problem. That's the problem with it.
So, what do you think of DK Metcalf resetting the receiver market with his new deal?
I will honestly tell you, I kind of saw that. I kind of saw that coming a little bit because there was a lot of speculations talking about how, DK Metcalf was going to get traded and all this other stuff. And then it kept coming up. And we knew after a while, when things were just kind of going around and nobody was making steam and trading him, I was like, okay, this fool isn't going to get traded. He's going to get an extension. And then Seattle's going to pay him a lot. And then it's going to kill the market because now everyone's like, well, if DK is worth this, then I'm worth this.
Yeah, he got a 3-year, $72 million deal with $58 million guaranteed.
He reset the market, man. He reset the market.
He did. I'm not sure if he quite deserves it. Not without, he's going to have to prove it without a star quarterback throwing to him. We'll see how he does with a guy like Drew Lock throwing on the ball.
Well, if you talk to certain individuals who are like Broncos fans and they come to it and they start telling you how good of a quarterback Drew Lock's going to be, and I'm like, what has he shown you that he can be a good quarterback?
Right.
There hasn't really been anything to me that's shown that Drew Lock is going to be a good quarterback. And now they've came out and even said, okay, Seattle's been trying to inquire with San Fran about trading for Jimmy Garoppolo. And so I'm like, so you're telling me that's much of an upgrade?
No, but honestly, can you see the Niners dealing Garoppolo to a division rival?
No, definitely not. So Tim is saying Isaiah has Locke as an MVP candidate. It's Isaiah. Of course he's going to.
Mr. Delusional 2.0.
Locke is not going to be an MVP. Not anytime soon. I can tell you that. It's going to be a long time before Drew Lock even gets a consideration for MVP.
Who knows if he even beats out Geno Smith for the starting job?
Right? And who's to say that Seattle doesn't go out and trade for a quarterback?
Too.
They could even go out and trade for somebody. Right now, we don't know.
Another thing I wanted to touch on was the Kyler Murray independent study clause he had put in his contract. I thought that was hilarious.
I was trying to understand what exactly was that. I wasn't even sure exactly what that was pertaining to, the independent study.
From what I gathered, they didn't think that he was involved too much in the playbook. And they want to make sure that he's actually learning and putting work in the playbook and stuff.
That makes sense, yeah.
Oh, Tim's saying they removed that.
They did. They removed it. I saw
that. Did they?
Yeah. That came out today that said that they actually removed that.
Anyways, for them to even put that in there to begin with, I thought was silly. Like, Kyler came out and said it. He's like, I'm a starting quarterback. Like, I don't take my job seriously. Like, this is my life. It's what I do. I'm a starting quarterback. I'm going to be in the playbook.
It's the Cardinals, though. It's the Cardinals. You've seen them do some weird things. Weird things.
Yeah, they do some weird crap.
So you were talking about the Kyler Murray thing. Now, yet again, with Kyler Murray, this is another year that because of the people that the Cardinals have, since he just got this massive contract that he signed, this is the year that he's going to have to prove it. This is kind of like, show me that you're worth the money that you just got.
I honestly don't think he's worth $230 million or whatever he got.
And that's why I was so shocked originally when the Cardinals were like, yeah, we'll give him this money, because I'm like, what has he shown you so far? Where has he shown you that he's been worth this money? What has he done?
Right? Didn't he like throw an interception from the 1 yard line? And they returned it for a 1 yard touchdown in the playoffs?
Yeah, he did that, but it wasn't even that. Like, he was really bad in the playoffs, looked atrocious in the playoffs. He's always been hit and miss, always. And so Tim is saying he's done nothing. At least Lamar Jackson has an MVP. He has an MVP, but Lamar Jackson isn't even really, to me personally, Lamar Jackson isn't even really a good quarterback. And I think it was, I forgot who it was. There was an actual expert that came out, and I don't know if you agree with this or not, Messaround, but this expert, this so-called expert, and I don't know who said it, but he came out and said it doesn't matter to him if Lamar came out and won 5 MVPs. Lamar Jackson is just not going to be a top 5 quarterback.
I agree with that. I actually like their backup Hundley better than him. I think Hundley's more accurate and moves the ball, moves the team better than Jackson does.
Yeah. To me, I don't know. He just hasn't really impressed me as a starting. Yeah, he's more of a runner. That's what he does. He's a running quarterback.
I'd put him in running back and have Hundley as my quarterback.
From what I saw last year, I would not say that I disagree with that.
Because that kid looked really good in the few games that he came in for Jackson.
He did. He looked. That's why I was actually surprised that they did not, that nobody inquired to trade him, like to trade for him. That was my thing. Now imagine though, if let's say Hundley would have led, Baltimore to the playoffs, and he won a playoff game, would there have been a controversy at that point? Would there? I think
if he would have led them to the playoffs, yeah, definitely for sure.
And if he would have won a playoff game,
Jackson would be there today.
I was gonna say, imagine the Baltimore fan base at that point. They might be like, well, maybe maybe we take a chance on Huntley and forget about Jackson.
I think if that were the case, Jackson would not be there today.
Yeah, right? No, I'm not going to disagree with you on that. I definitely think that would be a definite thing. I think Hundley would actually end up being the starter.
And Baker Mayfield probably wouldn't be in Carolina right now.
People can knock on us all they want. That's fine. But our opinion is just that Lamar Jackson is just not a top 5 quarterback, and he never will be.
Speaking of Baker Mayfield, I saw this thing on TikTok today where they had Baker and Darnold walking side by side in the camp, and they were counting the number of times they shouted out for Mayfield or Darnold. 15-2 in favor of Mayfield.
So let me ask you though, because of the situation between Baker and Darnold, do you honestly feel like Baker's going to end up being the starter in Carolina?
Probably, because you don't go out and you spend the draft capital you spend on him to get him. But at the same time, they spend a lot on Darnold too.
They did it to Darnold.
I know that's why I was just saying they spend a lot on Darnold too. But honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if I joked about this in the group chat. I wouldn't be surprised if Matt Corral is the best quarterback out of the 3.
And that would be really, really funny, right? Because everybody would be talking about being like, okay, Carolina traded for Darnold, they traded for Baker, and then they come out of camp, and then the Panthers go, and Matt Corral is a starting, and everyone's like, wait, what? Wait, what?
I mean, I would not be surprised if he is the best out of the 3.
But would Carolina do that because of the draft capital that they spent on Sam Darnold and Baker?
And Mayfield. I doubt it. They'd probably give it the chance to one of those two before they give it to the rookie. I mean, they would probably have taken injury to both Darnold and Mayfield to get Corral on the field.
But do you feel like maybe they moved away from Darnold too fast? Do you think they gave him his fair chance?
They did give him a fair chance because, like, last year when he came out hot and everybody's like, oh, this is a real Darnold. You and I and another one of our members on network were like, oh, no, wait, just wait. The wheels are going to fall off. They're going to fall off.
Right.
And then they did. They finally did. And we're like, we told you so.
He's going to come back down to earth. It's going to happen. It's going to – but then he was hurt again, and he missed games. And then at that point, everyone's like, okay, well, what do you do now?
Do they still have Cam Newton on the roster?
No.
No.
No, if you remember right, so they only signed Cam Newton to last year because they signed him – when they signed him, there was only like 8 games left in the season, and they gave him like $14 million for like 8 games or something like that. And then everybody was like, "Holy crap! They're giving Cam a lot of money for 8 freaking games that we don't even know what he's gonna be like."
Right.
And then this year, when Cleveland was looking at, okay, we have no idea what's gonna happen with Watson. We don't know if he's gonna miss the first year. And then they traded Baker. Then it came out that a report was like they were considering bringing in and signing Cam Newton.
Oh, wow. That's a terrible mistake.
And I was sitting there going, really? Like but that would be the Cleveland thing to do.
It would. It would totally be the Cleveland thing to do.
That would be the Cleveland thing.
Let's go out and trade a king's ransom for a guy that might not play this year. And on top of that, we're going to give one of the richest quarterback deals in the history of the league to probably not play for us this year.
Right? So that's where it's the – and then besides that, because you don't know if he's going to play this year or not, you're like, well, we're going to take our backup in Baker, and we're just going to trade him.
Right? Let's alienate our quarterback, our starting quarterback that we've had developed for years, who's kind of turned our franchise around. And let's go trade for Deshaun Watson and piss off our starting quarterback that we eventually have to trade away because he's pissed off.
But the thing is I wasn't really a huge Baker fan myself, though. Like, yeah, he's helped the organization. He made them better than what they were in the past. But I'm still not, like, a big on Baker.
I was never a Baker guy either, but he did turn Cleveland around. I mean, it wasn't all him. They had that running game with Chubb and Hunt. Mm-hmm. They really did it for that offense. And then that defense, too, with Myles Garrett and company, that really helped turn them around. It wasn't all Baker.
Yeah, and if you read, like, a lot of what the reports were about Baker, you know, a lot of the reports came up in the locker room that said, you know, Baker was a constant goof off in the locker room. He didn't take things seriously. He wasn't a very good leader. And so I think that's kind of what hurt his time in Cleveland also.
Oh, yeah. I heard all kinds of stories about him being very immature and needed to do a lot of growing up. So that's probably why they went out and got a Deshaun Watson. But I still think they should have waited until everything cleared before they made the deal.
Oh, absolutely. Because now they don't even know what they're going to get. And that's the thing. What is Cleveland going to get? Don't know.
I'm so glad last year when the Bears were rumored to be trading for Watson, we never pulled the trigger on that.
Can you imagine the pickle you would be in?
Oh, my God. I'm not saying Justin Fields is the answer, but at least he's going to play this year.
At least he's going to – yeah, but you guys never would have had Fields. And
that too, yeah.
And then you would have been in a big pickle because then it would have been like, well, who's gonna be our starter?
Andy Dalton again? Please.
Well, speaking of that though, so speaking of the Red Rifle, we know that the Red Rifle this year is playing for New Orleans. So we know that currently the top two quarterbacks in New Orleans is Winston and the Red Rifle, Andy Dalton. So,
Excuse me.
where exactly, I wouldn't say where, but who exactly is going to end up being that starter? Is it going to be Winston or the Red Rifle? I think it's Winston, because Winston was actually having a really good year before he had gotten hurt. But it could be the Andy Dalton effect to where Winston gets hurt.
You know, it very well could be because, you know, when he played for Dallas, Prescott got hurt and he was forced into action, and then Matt Nagy and Ryan Pace made the stupid, "We promise you're going to be our starting quarterback no matter what."
So
Deal
John
with him,
wants,
so.
John wants to know if we do interviews. So exactly what interviews are you talking about? So if you'll specify to us, clarify what you mean by interviews. You're talking about like players? Are you talking about guests, fans, what? So if you'll please clarify in the comment and let us know, that would be great. But
I think Winston's going to be the starter. Like you said, he was having such a great year last year, MVP type year, until he got hurt. It all depends on Winston's health, but
if you think about this though, Andy Dalton and Fitzpatrick, they were kind of known for two things, right? Now the thing is if you were a starting quarterback, and then that team signed Fitzpatrick and brought him in as a starter, you were like, uh-oh. Because you knew a majority of the time, if Fitzpatrick came in and signed as a backup, that starter somehow, some way, either had a terrible year and got benched and
or he's going to get hurt.
Or he got hurt and Fitzpatrick came in and replaced him. And
Fitzmagic, baby.
And the same thing happened with Andy Dalton. Once he left Cincinnati, no matter where he went and backed up, the starting quarterbacks would get hurt, and then Andy Dalton would have to come in and play. So if you're Jameis Winston, maybe you're looking at this point going, okay, even if I do get the nod, if he's healthy enough to play at that point, is he going to get hurt to where Andy Dalton has to come in?
God, that's terrible. Terrible. I hate. He was so bad. I mean, Dalton had his moments last year with us, but
I hate to say it like that, but it's true though. It is
true.
And those things typically come up.
How do you think Matt Ryan's going to do with the Colts this year?
It's interesting because when you look at the Colts, I definitely think the Colts are a team that I think could actually be a really, really good football team. And the reason I'm saying is, so there's one thing that the Colts have that Matt Ryan really hasn't had a lot of. And now I know people.
A defense?
What?
A defense?
Besides the defense.
Oh, running game.
Yes, a running game. And I know a lot of people are going to say, well, he had Devontae Freeman, he had Tevin Coleman. I'm like, come on. He didn't really have, and I understand for those few years he had Michael Turner and like a few other guys. But you can't tell me like he's never had a running back like Jonathan Taylor.
Never.
He's never had a running back like that. And so that is like the biggest thing. He's never had a running back like him, and he's never had a defense like the Colts have. Last year, I truly believe that if Matt Ryan played on the Colts last year, the Colts make the playoffs.
Oh, I agree with that. Because Carson Wentz is just trash.
And now guess what? Now he's in Washington. So
he's a Commander.
Yeah, he's a Commander. So do I like the move that the Colts made? I do like the move. I think Matt Ryan going to the Colts is a great move. I think it's going to definitely make that division definitely more competitive.
It's not just going to be the Titans division to win this year. Or to lose, rather.
And honestly, I don't even know if the Titans are going to be really that good of a team. because no Julio Jones, no
No
AJ
Brown.
Brown. Really, the only person that they're going to have now is Derrick Henry. And I know, you're going to talk about how they drafted a receiver. They did, but this offense has always been based on Derrick Henry, anyways. This offense has always been.
Unless your name is Randy Moss or Justin Jefferson, typically it takes receivers 1 to 3 years to break out.
And so Tim is saying now he has Taylor, Lindsey, and Hines. Absolutely, he's got like that trio. So Matt Ryan is going to have a lot of help. Do I have the Colts winning this? Do I have them winning the AFC South? I'm going to go out on a limb right now, and I'm going to say I potentially think I believe that they win the AFC South because I think that the Titans actually really didn't get any better. I think that they actually kind of got a little bit worse because of who they lost. Jacksonville, I know there's been people out there who but Jacksonville, they loaded up. They got better. And I'm like, yeah, they might have gotten better on paper-wise. Let's say paper-wise. Okay? I have learned, and Messaround, probably you have learned this too. Because if you remember, for multiple years, we always came on here, on our podcast for multiple years and said, yep, this year, Jacksonville's going to be good. They went out, they got these players, they're good, they're good on paper, they're going to be good. And every year we've said that, we've gotten burned every single year.
Except you, they made it to the championship game and lost to the Patriots.
Yeah, but if you remember that year, we did not say that they were going to be good.
That's true. That's probably the year we gave up on it.
So, but then every year after that, we kept saying, nope, they're going to be good. They're going to be good. They got their quarterback of the future. They're going to be good. So now this year, I'm backing off of that. And I'm not going to say that Jacksonville's going to be good. Yeah, they signed players. They're supposed to be good on paper. I'm not falling for that crap anymore. I'm not doing
it. It all depends on how well Trevor Lawrence takes that next step, or if he takes the next step.
Well, he's going to have some help now. So he's going to have some receivers to throw to. But when it comes to it, though, I'm still not falling for it. I'm not
either. I'm not quite there on that bandwagon.
I'm not doing it because I've learned the hard way with Jacksonville multiple times. I'm not a Jacksonville fan, but I've always been like, yeah, I hope they do good because of
they've always kind of had that special place in my heart where I'm like,
because of how bad they've been.
Yeah. And
so I've always been like, okay, if Jacksonville's good, cool. But then they come out and disappoint me, and I'm like, God dang it. That's why
it's kind of like the Lions. One of these years you want to see them do well, even though they're in our division, because they've been so bad.
You know what?
Trying to secretly root for the Lions to do well.
But this has always been the thing. I've always said, with being a Packer fan, I've always said, if Green Bay does bad, if Green Bay has a bad year, and I know they're not making the playoffs, and I'm like, go Lions. That is the one thing. Then I'm always looking at Lions going, then I hope it's them if it's anybody else.
Exactly, because I'm not going to root for Minnesota and I'm not going to root for Green Bay. So if it's not Chicago, I want the Lions to win the division.
Yeah, and me, I'm not going for Minnesota. I'm not going for Chicago. And Detroit is one of those ones that you're like, you know what? I know they're in our division, but I guess if my team wasn't going to win it, I guess it would have to be them.
Especially when they took Joey Harrington, even though they were so bad. I wanted to see him do well because Joey came from the U of L.
Right, yeah. And Tim is saying, I'm a Colts fan, and I would like to see the Jags wake up. So coming from a Colts fan, that's really, really good to hear.
Right.
It really is, knowing that you have those irrelevant player, those irrelevant teams. If you look at the teams right now who have not made the Super Bowl, so you have Houston, who's never been there. I can tell you, they're not going there anytime soon. Okay.
No.
Houston right now, is abysmal. They are a complete mess. I can't even tell you what's going on in Houston right now. They're a complete mess.
Houston's the only one of those teams I'm secretly rooting for because they have Lovie Smith as their coach. Even though I know they're not going to be good for another who knows how long.
But in reality, even though you're kind of secretly rooting for them, you're kind of expecting them to have like a 2 or 3 win season because they're so freaking abysmal that you have no idea what you're going to get.
Speaking of former Bears, I was reading about the Pittsburgh Steelers camp today, and apparently Mitch Trubisky is still terrible.
He's still terrible. Well, I guess we'll find out when it comes to it.
His first 2 passes were incomplete, and the crowd was already chanting, "Pick it, pick it, pick it."
That's funny. That's funny.
So, I'm still rooting for Trubisky to have a rebound year, but they didn't draft the hometown kid for nothing to ride the pine, so I don't see Pickett not starting the year.
Huh?
I don't see Pickett not being named starter to start the year.
Pickett's going to have to, or the fans are going to get really, really mad because he's from Pittsburgh. So everybody's going to expect Kenny Pickett to be the starter.
You don't draft the hometown kid in the first round to sit him on the bench the first year.
I mean, if you ask me, personally, I would. Because
I would too.
Because I don't like starting rookies. I don't like it. Now, I'm not saying all rookies. I'm saying quarterback-wise. I don't like starting rookies.
No, I get it. I don't like starting rookie quarterbacks either.
I don't like starting rookie quarterbacks. They don't make smart decisions. They just don't. And so it usually takes that year or so to where they should sit behind somebody and learn. At least.
I mean, look, it worked wonders with Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, it worked for Patrick Mahomes. It worked for Aaron Rodgers. It worked for Brady. It worked for
Steve McNair.
It's worked for multiple. I mean, there was multiple quarterbacks it worked for, and so to me personally, that's why if I was a coach and I even drafted a rookie quarterback, I would be like, yeah, you're not. I know I told you we drafted you to be our future. You're still our future, but you're not our future this year. Here's your job,
clipboard.
Yeah, you're going to be holding a clipboard. You're going to be watching the game. That's what you're going to be doing. You're going to be taking notes. You're going to be learning because you're not playing in this game. You're going to be
running the scout team.
Exactly right. That's what rookie quarterback should be doing. Would I lose a year of it? Absolutely. I wouldn't mind being like, okay, I will take a losing season. I would take that bridge and be like, I will take one losing season in order for my quarterback to learn.
I know Matt Nagy got so much crap for that last year because that was his plan with Fields. Was to sit him the whole year, and then Andy Dalton got hurt and screwed it all up.
Right? I mean, that's just how I would play it. But sometimes I guess you can't play it like that, and a lot of people wouldn't. A lot of people will sit there and tell you that they would rather start a rookie when you draft a rookie. Now, there's certain positions that if you draft a rookie in, that I would be like, okay, I'm okay with starting a rookie in certain positions, like running back.
Running back, receiver.
You know what? I'm okay with starting a rookie at running back. I'm okay with starting a rookie at receiver. I'm okay with starting a rookie at tight ends. There's certain positions that I might be afraid of. Quarterback, sometimes offensive line. I'm afraid
left tackle, right tackle, the blind side. I would not want to start a rookie on the blind side.
No, definitely not. You don't want – if you're a veteran quarterback and they draft a rookie and your coach goes, we're sticking this rookie on the blind side, you're like, oh, crap.
Right?
You're like, oh, crap. You're like, please don't go up against Aaron Donald. Please, because he's going to eat you for lunch and then I'm going to be on my back all game long.
I mean, there's special kids like Tony Vaselli. Yeah. I would start him day one. but there's not a lot of Tony Baselli out there.
No, it's not. And if you remember when we were watching that Green Bay and Chicago game last year, and then like the first quarter, you're like, hey, this rookie's doing pretty good. He's doing okay.
Jenkins.
And then the second quarter, it starts. It just slowly, like, just goes
He just
down.
went. He was up so high, and then he came down so quick.
There, and then he's gone. You're like, well, there goes that.
False start, number 76. Offense. Holding, 76. Offense.
So at that point, you're thinking, you know what a great start, but now it like came back down to earth and
unnecessary offense, 76. Offense.
Yeah, it's one of those things. It sucks. It definitely sucks when you have to throw a rookie to the Wolves out there.
And now that same rookie, he was supposed to be. They drafted him in the second round. Now he's like, might not even make team this year.
That's really bad.
Yeah,
that's really bad. That would be like drafting a rookie corner. Okay, never getting experience in a game ever, and then sticking him out there in your first game, and they're like, okay, well, our starter's hurt, so we have to get you experience. So you're gonna go up and you're gonna match up against Jerry Rice. You're gonna match up against the Larry Fitzgerald. You're like, is this a joke?
Right. Your job is to get the first down, and you're going against Deion Sanders. Good luck.
Oh, dude. And you know what? We've had conversations about this before in the past. There's a difference between like shutdown corners when you think about it. When it comes to like shutdown corners, yeah, there's shutdown corners who can shut a receiver down. Okay, I get that. But Deion Sanders is the guy that shut a whole side of the field down.
He took half the field away, dude. Like, if he was on the right, you weren't throwing to the right. If he was on the left, you were not throwing left.
No, like he shut the whole entire side of the field down. That's the difference. So
that's when it comes to corners, and the greatest corner ever, it's Deion Sanders for me.
Oh yeah, because yeah, there was a lot of good corners after him. You know, Darrelle Revis was definitely up there with Revis Island, Jalen Ramsey. Some of these guys were good, but there's been no corner out there that has done what Deion's done as far as shutting down an entire side of a field.
It just hasn't been done before or since.
No.
It's just so crazy how good he was.
Oh, yeah.
Prime time.
Right?
And not only that, he took punts back, he took kicks back, he played receiver.
Yeah, he played. He Now, if you remember, though, they've experimented with guys before, trying them in different positions. Like when Devin Hester, when they thought, okay, we can stick him as a wide receiver. And so Chicago's like, let's try him as a wide receiver. And it's
well, he was definitely better as a receiver than he was as a defensive back.
But he wasn't even that good of a receiver.
No. He was fast. If you told him to run straight and we'll throw you deep ball, you could do that. Yeah,
but I've always said this, though, too. There has been multiple people, and I think you've even agreed with me on this in the past, because we've talked about it, to where there's a receiver that's really, really fast in college, and then everyone's like, oh, my God, I want this guy on my team because he's so fast. And so we're sitting there going, okay, cool. He's fast, but can he run routes? Can he catch? Can he?
Right.
What is it? Just speed? Because if it's just speed, so what? You know, I would rather have somebody that is slower, that can run routes and actually get separation and be able to catch a ball, rather than somebody just who has blazing speed, but 30% of the time he drops a pass. I would rather be like, I'll take this guy instead of him. Yeah, he's fast.
He can't stay on the field because he's hurt all the time.
Exactly. And so we kind of learned with John Ross, it's kind of how it was. Yeah, he was fast, but he could not run routes. He could not stay healthy, and he dropped a lot of passes. So
Right.
3 things right off the bat. When everyone's like, oh my God, this guy's okay, so what? He's fast. Who cares?
Who cares you man a 4.240? What's I can do for everybody's fast in the NFL?
If you can go up and catch a ball, that's what people want.
Exactly. That's why I've never understood. Like the Raiders were big on speed back in the day. They'd always take the fastest guy in every combine, every draft, and it never worked out for him because speed. While yes, it does matter.
Yeah, Messaround Dave is. Oh, there he is. Go ahead.
While speed, it does matter. You still, like you said, you have to learn to run routes. You have to catch the ball. You have to stay healthy. You can't always be in the tub.
You know what though? But that's how I learned in high school and middle school. That's how I learned how to run routes. And the reason for it is because I was always quick in school. Okay, I was always quick. I had really good hands in football. But originally when I went on the football field and my coach was like, "So what? You're fast." Okay, so what? Can you translate it on the football field? Can you tell me? Can you show me what you can do on the football field?
Right.
And I would be like, well, what do you mean? He's like, okay, you're fast, and so what? Can you run a route? And I'm like, I don't know. So he taught me how to run routes, and he's like, now you can make yourself a football player because you can run a route, and you can run deep, you can run routes, you can catch, you can do that. That's what makes you a good receiver, not just because you're quick.
Right. Another thing I never understood, like I always heard the term body catcher and then hands catcher.
Mm-hmm.
Like you go up and catch the ball like this with your hands.
You want to catch the ball like that, yeah.
Yeah. And then before I was always catching like this and let it come to my body. And then my buddy was like, no, that's not how you catch. You got to catch like this with your hands. And you'll catch so much more because if you let it go to your body, it's going to bounce off.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So in the NFL, though, too, when you think about it, right, and these quarterback makes these crazy throws. They make these throws. And the receiver will have to jump like 6 feet up or whatever, hits their fingertip, it bounces off, and like, well, yeah, I mean, the ball was thrown a little high, but the receiver has to catch that. And I'm like, what?
Off the fingertip, really?
I was like, what are you talking about? Because they've always
said, I know, I always hated that term. If it hits your hand, you should catch it.
Yeah, if it hits your hands, you should catch it. But sometimes though, I feel like NFL quarterbacks sometimes get like a little bit too much credit for the throws that they make, and the receivers don't get enough credit for the catches that they make.
Oh, I know, dude. Sometimes those catches they make quarterbacks look so good, and they don't. Wow, did you see that throw by the quarterback? Wait, what about that catch he just made? Are you kidding me? If it wasn't for that catch, we wouldn't be talking about the throw.
Right, like the Odell Beckham catch against the Cowboys with his 2 fingers when he's reaching back.
Oh, when he reached back, yeah.
Yeah, and they're like, man, Manning put that ball, and I'm like, what do you mean he put the ball on the money? Odell Beckham went back with 2 fingers.
Like that was such a crazy back shoulder throw he just threw right there.
Odell Beckham went back with 2 fingers and caught that crap with 2 fingers.
What a great back shoulder fade throw he just made. Are you kidding me? Dude had to reach back and grab it with a fingertip.
So Christy's saying that OBJ catch is overrated. I've seen better. There's no way.
Come on, you're just saying that because it's happening as the Cowboys.
As a Cowboys fan, you have to say that was one of the greatest catches you've ever seen in the history of the NFL. Chris, pop up on the screen for a second. As a Cowboys fan, tell me, was that not one of the greatest catches you've ever seen in your life?
That was probably one of the best. That or David Tyree with the helmet catch.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. But that OBJ catch, I don't know if you get better than that.
Stretched out.
Right? Yeah. I don't know if you get better than that. That's two fingers right there. You're bringing it in, and that's like because the thing is you have to survive the ground with that too. Like you have the ball in your hand, and you got to bring that crap back up. You have to survive that catch.
Yeah.
Like that's not.
You
have to have full control of it.
got to maintain control all the way through to the ground.
But that's where it comes back into speculation, though, too. Like when people talk about catches, what is a catch?
I know. I don't even think the NFL knows what a catch is anymore.
They made 20 different rules about it.
It is because you can watch a game and be like, well, last week that was a catch, and now you're saying this week it's not a catch.
Right? Ask us, Brian, if it was a catch or not.
Debatable. I mean, yet again. Ask Calvin Johnson if his was a catch.
Right? Yeah, against Chicago.
Ask him if that was a catch.
I remember that game.
That was like the first game of the year. And
it was first game of the season. I was like, that's incomplete. But in my mind, I'm like, that was an epic catch.
Oh, that was Calvin Johnson going up and getting that crap like on the high point and bringing it down. And you're like, if that gets overturned, you're like, come on, man.
And it did, and I was happy, but in my head, I was like, dude, there's no way that was incomplete.
Just the inner fans going, that should have been a catch.
Right? Yeah, I've went back and watched some old catches that I'm like, man, these are insane. But I am the one thing that I'm glad that they brought to the NFL, because I've watched some old games that you can see teams have lost because they were not able to go back and replay plays, like to go back and like look at the replay.
I got one for you after you're done with this one,
and see that it was like a fumble or something, and they might have fumbled. And you're like, wait, that was a fumble. But at that point, they did not have the replay. So you couldn't go back and challenge the play and look at it. So then the play would just automatically stand, and you're like, well, crap, that sucks.
The one that had Jay Cutler threw to Zach Miller against the Saints. It was a catch. Originally called a touchdown. Went back upon review, and they ruled it incomplete, but it was a catch. After the game, the NFL came back, and they're like, yeah, that should have been a touchdown. And that was a play that ended Zach Miller's career.
Did you see?
Remember, he got that knee injury on the play.
Yeah.
Did you see Brady's documentary thing about the tuck rule?
Oh yeah.
All right, I fumbled that or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know if you were joking or not, but.
And I mean, obvious. Like, if you ask a lot of Patriots fans, they're gonna tell you, they're like, no, the tuck rule's a rule. That wasn't a fumble. It was a thing. And I'm like,
nobody knew that was a rule until it happened.
I was like, so they called it one freaking time, and it just happened to be in that game. And you're telling me that it was the right call. And then later on, that's when Brady comes out and says, well, maybe I fumbled that ball, and they happen to call it a tuck rule.
Did. I don't know if you guys seen it, but they did the documentary where they had Charles Woodson and Brady on there.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
And Brady even admitted he didn't know what the tuck rule was until they called it.
Right? He's like, what is the tuck rule?
But then you hear Belichick like, yeah, a couple weeks before this game, we had a similar play. Like
it was a similar play, but the tuck rule wasn't called.
Right.
So that's why I was like, and then when they called it, I'm like, what the hell is the tuck rule? Nobody's ever heard of it before. So
yeah, like I said, they didn't even know what it was until it was called.
And it's never been called since.
No, they took it out.
It's been called that one time in the history of the NFL that everyone's like, what?
Not only that, how about the part where they allowed the Patriots to bring Zamboni out and clear off spot to kick a field goal? They don't allow that, and they did that time.
Patriots get away with a lot of stuff. I'm just saying that.
Right. Yeah, it was weird. It was the craziest thing. But we're at that hour mark now. It was it's been a while since we've done a show. Mess around. It was a lot of fun tonight. We had
Oh, I love this. This is amazing. I love doing this show.
we had great topics. We brought on Chris towards the end of it, so it was fun. So thank you, Chris, for hopping on. Thank you for our viewers that tuned in. Mess around. Any final thoughts?
Hopefully, we'll get back to doing this weekly. Like I said, I love this show because we just have such a great time. We didn't even have topics planned. We just came on here and winged it. So, anything you guys want to see us talk about sports-wise, let us know.
Oh yeah, just throw in topics, whatever you want to talk about, and we will talk about it. All right, Chris, we want to thank you for hopping on too. So thank you very much. We just had to bring you up for a second just to kind of clarify that, as you being a Cowboys fan. So thank you all of our viewers for watching. And then Saturday you will be able to catch another episode of Kicking It with Isaiah and Ace. It should be another fun-filled episode. So with that, we will see everybody Saturday, and have a great night.